It's just the fastest way to create, not just do lead generation, but you're actually creating demand. Let's move on to the numbers side of this, because the fastest growing companies that I have seen in the pest control space, the ones who are the most aggressive about growth, inevitably do door-to-door sales. It's just the fastest way to create, not just do lead generation, but you're actually creating demand. Like, you are creating demand out of thin air. These are people who not would have otherwise called you. That also means it's not cheap. It's definitely costly to generate those kind of sales. And often when I speak with a pest control operator, when I ask them, what are they willing to pay for a customer? It almost invariably, the answer is as little as possible. It's just like, yeah, of course, right? But let's be practical about this and talk about, what does it actually take to aggressively grow a pest control company? Like, if you're someone who's hungry and you're thinking to yourself, like, I want this to not just be a slow growing lifestyle business, nothing wrong with that, but let's just assume that's not who this operator is. What kind of money are they having to shell out to a door-to-door sales rep, or, the door-to-door mercenary, guys, like the company who they've hired to go out and knock for them?
Two things here that are key. First of all, the marketing deal, it ranges. I won't use Hawks's numbers as an example. I'll use another company's numbers as an example, like Grit Marketing, for example. They're known for having the biggest killers in the door-to-door space, and they really do. They have guys who will actually go out and make me look like nothing. They'll sell on average 15 to 20 a day. And that comes with two expenses. One, you're going to be on like a 70% marketing deal. So say it's $1,000 pest control account. That's a bit expensive, but for simple math, you're paying out the commission $700 to the rep, assuming that customer sticks in the terms that you agree on for payment. So first of all, that's just like the generic number. It's anywhere between 65 to 80% is what I've kind of seen in the industry. You can find people who are cheaper. They just might not produce the same amount. But what also comes with that production, this is something I, with my teams, have always heavily preached, is the ethical side of this industry. For example, my retention year over year was sub 10% cancellation. So my customers to back end would, on 90% or more, stick it and make it all the way through at least the next winter, January, February, roughly. There's people in this industry who sell very well, but they're selling at a 50% cancellation at times. So you have to factor in two things. It's like, one, am I hiring a ethical sales manager or sales team that's actually going to bring in revenue that sticks? That's the first expense I would always look at. You'd want to find ways to vet them. But the other one is, you're showing out, I'd say on average, 70% of the commission in that upfront year to that sales team for each customer that they've acquired.
70%. So it makes sense when you take into consideration customer lifetime value, which most pest control operators I talk to have never even heard of that term. So they don't even know what that means. They've never crunched those numbers. But assuming that the average customer sticks around for 3.5 years, I think that's like industry average, just in general for pest control, you will eventually make your money back. And so for these fast growing companies who have a treasure chest set aside where they can deal with that initial loss before they start to turn a profit, that makes sense. And it's funny because I'm fighting with, but not really fighting, but just kind of educating pest control operators who, think that they should be able to acquire a customer for less than 25%, and the number that and what's been really exciting for us is that since starting Pesty, we do regularly help our clients hit 25%. We're not going to really get less than that unless you have your own systems in place that make that possible for you. But generally speaking, it's going to be as close as 25% as we can get it in terms of customer acquisition costs. But the other number I've heard from someone else in the space who helped grow a pest control company up to $12 million in revenue from almost nothing, they were aiming for like 25 to 50%, and it just kind of depended on where those sales were coming from.
Yeah, and you can incentivize, because I was actually at equity in a company at one point, starting a company with a friend, and you can incentivize through equity lower commissions. I think the average commission paid out that year for our sales team in 3 months, me and my guys, we did $800,000 in revenue. Big learning experience, startup, tons of reasons that wasn't more compared to what I was expecting and used to. But, the owner, Rob, acquired all those customers at a 37% costs. Whereas, you know, all these companies nowadays are asking for, like what I was saying, 60, 70% if you want to go find the best of the best salesmen.